This is Mitchell.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
Hilliard Guest.
This is Nathan East.
This is Rob Bell.
This is J.R. Robinson.
This is Dan Stone.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Nate Boyer, and you're listening to The Break It Down Show. Break it down.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John and Pete.
I just want to say this.
Say it.
I thought you'd be bigger.
That's what she says.
For our listeners, if you don't know Nate yet, we're going to get to know Nate, but Nate was... Now, you know, when some people say was...
Former. Ex.
Yeah. Was a Special Forces soldier, and some people say when you're a Special Forces soldier, you're always Special Forces soldier. So
it doesn't offend me.
I don't want to...
I get it.
Yeah.
They call these guys, they call him fags. He's a former action guy.
No, I'm not. Former action guy is completely different. That means you couldn't qualify for a combat action badge.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Can't.
Yeah.
Combat infantry badge.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a
that's
fig.
true. A fig. Yes, former infantry guy, yeah.
Sweet.
Yes, sweet and delicious.
So, following his military career, he went to the University of Texas, Hook 'em Horns.
Hook 'em.
And also decided to play football, which as a non-recruited guy at a Division I school the size of Texas.
It's not even Division I. Like, that's like, of the elite programs, you've got, I don't know, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Ohio State,
Michigan, Miami, and Texas.
Obviously Alabama. You got to
Alabama,
right? Yeah, but like I wouldn't even put LSU in that same grade where it's like consistently a national championship caliber program. You know,
although we went 5-7 the last 2 years since I left, so
it does happen.
Well, that's since you left.
They have a terrible long snapper.
That's right.
Terrible.
No,
but the thing is, when you go to a school like that, if you're not recruited to play football there, it's just unheard of that you make it onto the football field, especially when you're the old guy. And you got there as the old guy.
Do you know the other little wrinkle in that story?
No, please tell us the other little wrinkle.
I never played football in my entire life.
Okay. So, football players in our audience. Here's a guy who has no technique.
No talent.
And he's showing up old and
small.
And small.
Right.
Old, small, no technique.
Stupid.
No experience.
Luckily ignorant and naive, or I never would have tried.
Perfect.
So
right.
I needed a little bit of that.
But what you did when you got there was you smoked everybody around the track. You outworked guys who were recruited since they were in elementary school, who were 4 times your size. And that's something that nobody can ignore. So the coaches decided not to ignore that work ethic, that example, that contribution to the team, and they said, let's find this guy a place.
I think they were more worried about what I would do to them if they cut me.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's
dangerous.
That was let's just say it like it is. They're like, you know what, that guy might...
Yeah. You know, now that we got him, we're kind of stuck with him.
He might kill us with his pinky.
It's like that monkey they bought and had on the special operations compound in Jalalabad. You know, like, we can't get rid of this goddamn monkey now. And that's no shit. Like, there really was a monkey.
They bought a monkey.
Yeah, they're like,
it was like, hey, that monkey's got to go.
Yeah, we can't
get rid of it. So if they couldn't make you leave, they decided to use you as a. Now, you were a long snapper as you kind of move forward from your college career into NFL tryouts. You thought, well, if I can walk on at Texas, I'm going to walk on to the Houston Texans.
Wrong again.
Oh, shit. Jesus, man, I'm good at fucking this up.
Yeah.
Here's where I make up all kinds of stories about Nate Boyer. Nate Boyer was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. He was actually not as much born as laid on a fence post.
Oh, yeah, on the back of an F-100 pickup.
Right.
His parents were members of the Godzilla family.
Yeah, exactly. Man, you normally nail these things.
I do normally nail these things. It's
Houston. Did you just make?
Did you not pay for the Houston Texans?
Not even a little bit.
I thought you came running out of the tunnel with the flag for the Houston
Seattle
Texans.
Seahawks.
The Seattle Seahawks,
Oh, yeah,
and a little bit of time with the Niners.
No.
Niners practice squad too. Is that right?
No, I had a tryout with the Niners, a workout with them.
Okay.
But the Seahawks are the ones who signed me after
signed
the draft, yeah. So I was with the Seahawks through OTAs, training camp, and the preseason. I didn't make the final roster, but I did get to play in the preseason, so that's why it's so forgettable.
But what's unforgettable is that you yes. Okay, here's my accomplishment for the day. I got called a prick by a Special Forces guy and I'm still alive.
Here's my question for you, because obviously your path to the NFL, however much of a career you did or didn't have, I don't care.
Not much.
But you were there.
I was there.
And there are guys that worked their whole lives. You definitely had an obscure path, an unusual path.
To say the least.
Right. Who's
Can't even put a finger on what my path was. Don't even actually know. Just make it up.
Yeah, right. When you don't know, you improvise, right?
Which path is crazier, yours, or do you know who Jeremy Bloom is?
I don't.
Jeremy Bloom's a freestyle.
Here's where you get to make it up.
Yeah.
That's where you go,
Jeremy
Jeremy
Bloom.
Bloom.
Yeah, he was a freestyle, gold medal caliber freestyle skier for the Olympics, and he's like, oh, and by the way, I return kicks. And if you're small,
Before that, blues guitarist.
if you're small for the NFL, he's a skier. He's even tinier. He's like Brian Boitano size, So you talk about an atypical path. Both you guys took really tangential paths to even just to being on the field with NFL players.
How tall are you, Nate?
I say 5'11", but I'm more like 5'10".
Okay. So 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
5'10 plus.
I was guessing like 6'3". Anyway.
That's the thing about dudes from group guys and SEAL guys too. There are some huge dudes, but
Yeah.
most of them.
No, most.
Well, when I was with the Seahawks, I weighed 50 pounds more than I weigh right now.
Well, I saw a picture of you when
Yeah.
you were with the Texans or the Seahawks or whoever the hell you paid for. You,
Next thing is going to have you on the Jaguars.
Freaking Argonauts.
the Rough Riders, right? Either one of them.
when you were a New Jersey senator, I saw a picture of you, and you were just the picture I saw was just had this enormous neck. And so when I saw you when you walked up, I was like, wow, I don't think that's the same guy.
Yeah.
I think Pete picked up
You
a
got
strand.
the wrong guy, man.
I mean, might be a guy named Nate.
That's funny. I was going to say before I went down to get you, I'm like, you're going to be surprised at how not big Jeremy's. Now I'm calling you Jeremy Bloom. You're going to be surprised
who
at
I
how
am.
big, how not big Nate
Jeremy,
is.
No one else does either.
Jeremy
Yeah.
Bloom is now a florist in Poughkeepsie.
But yeah, that's the thing is like if you'll always underestimate the size of group guys, but then give them something to do. My example always is like I could say, hey, Nate, here's $42, 800 pounds of gear, and I need you to be in Cuba in a week. You'll be there in 2 days with all the gear, with the ladies. 2 hours.
And more money. And more money than he left with.
Absolutely. More money, ladies, cigars, and rum. And I'll be
Stop
like,
in Vegas.
Right.
yeah. Yeah, that's how it
walking
goes.
around money.
So it's never about the size of the dude. It's about what you guys do. I was
The
explaining
size of the resolve.
Yeah, yeah. And I was explaining like the difference between Rangers and group guys is like you've been psych profiled to heck. Being a Ranger is physically challenging, but you guys have to be brilliant because you're going into multicultural
We don't have to be
situations.
brilliant, obviously. I'm sitting here. But
Well, you got to be able to make a lot of
you
decisions.
got to think
without a
outside.
lot
You got to
of-
be able to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And adapt. If you can adapt, you know
Right.
what I mean, and understand that, I heard you mention talking about Plan Bs or something like
Yeah.
that. And, understand that all a mission is an idea, or a mission plan, is an idea. You know what I mean? It's a concept, and there's obviously tactics and strategy and
Sure.
all that, but the minute you step out the door or the first bullet cracks off or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it goes out the window, but everything changes, and you have to be fluid and be able to embrace that change and use it to your advantage. Find a way to use it to your advantage.
One of the crazy things that I try to express to people who haven't ever been on a combat patrol is one of the things we talk about right before we go. Like we've got everything's done, John, right? All the briefing's all done. One of the last things we discuss is what's the most deadly course of action? And someone goes, okay, most deadly course of action is an improvised exploding device placed in it. And you're like, God damn, that's right. Like,
That'd be fucked up.
We're really playing like we drive from here to there or wherever. We don't think there could be a bomb planted in a tree, and so then everybody looks around like, where's the bomb today? It may not be a bomb, but you have to look at that. So it's you are operating in that environment, way far away from the big Army family, teaching and training people that don't have any idea why you're there a lot of times until they finally get to know you guys.
There's some interesting stats on that. I mean, so yeah, we're 12-man teams, and we're living with, training, and then fighting alongside the host nationals.
Right.
So basically, indigenous forces of whatever country we're in. But it's really interesting. Like a lot of, like for instance, in Afghanistan, I think it's a crazy number. Like 92% of rural Afghans. So these are the farmers, the nomads, people out in the countryside, don't even understand that like 9/11 happened or that like why we're there. So to them, it's like these stormtroopers. So you can understand while they're extremely confused, and then a lot of times
Not so welcoming.
Yeah, not so welcoming because they just don't understand. I mean, like
Yeah.
they
Who are these
they
guys?
just see us as people that are coming, even though we're alongside Afghans. They, in uniform, they still just don't. They don't understand
Sure.
the concept, and unfortunately, the education level, the average Afghan is a third grade education, so
Yeah.
it's tough to get them to understand that sometimes. But a lot of those soldiers we fought alongside were amazing human beings, incredible hearts, very brave, and had a lot of national pride and wanted to see their country improve and get better. And so that stuff was really cool. I always appreciated that. But yeah, it's an interesting dynamic for sure.
Yeah, it's challenging, and being able to go out and work in that kind of environment. So I was asking John to kind of assess you. So I'm gonna ask what you think. Yes,
he did a terrible job.
I can't.
6'3".
Just wait.
What do you think? What was his job? Do you think?
Let's see.
And if you forget him, I'll remind you. But
Okay. Wow.
He didn't do any research.
No, let's see. If you were
I purposely wanted to guess.
I'm
when I
not
said
going to
it.
say shooter. I think that'd be too
You don't
easy.
think he's a Bravo?
He's not a Bravo.
Okay.
He's not. He's an Echo.
He's an Echo.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's actually correct.
Wow. Look at
I was
you.
right about one thing today.
Got it. And you guessed on
Yes.
it. If you just would
I
have
rolled
guessed
the
on the
dice.
team instead of tried to remember,
That's right.
You would have
That's
got it
true.
right.
You're
that's so
absolutely
good.
right.
So do you have a foreign language, and do you still get trained in Morse code?
Yeah, an
Look
Echo
at
is the
that.
communicator. He's the comm guy. He can do, really for the unit, he's the guy who, when they say, we need to get a message back to base, he's the guy who gets a message back to base. It might be that there's a bunch of wires jerry-rigged and a improvised radio made out of a microwave oven and 2 chocolate donuts.
Yeah.
But it could be that those chocolate donuts are not around and there's no microwave, so he sends a smoke signal. But one way or another, he's the guy whose specialty
I'd probably go
is
straight to the smoke signal.
get the message back to the house.
I was not. I was actually known on my team as an honorary Charlie.
Okay.
Oh,
which
yeah?
is a
Okay, I was gonna be my
demo and engineer.
So
Because
he's a communicator,
I was a
but he likes to fuck up shit.
I was a crappy commo guy. I was like, look, I know. I always learned how to troubleshoot everything we had on the mission, and I knew how to work our equipment and all that. But man, that it's complicated trying to. Some of those networking nerds that
Yeah.
are so good at that stuff, I just didn't have that in me. I wasn't passionate
Sure.
about it, so I cross-trained in everything else as much as I could, so I could
Right.
be effective in that way. And I knew how to work our stuff really well. You know what I mean? I knew a little
Yeah.
bit about other stuff, but I think the commo guys from before my time were much more skilled. We didn't still have to learn Morse code.
Right.
And granted, we're training. When I went in, we were training to go straight to war.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I came in
They had to
04.
truncate the training a little bit.
Yeah, so it was a little different. They trimmed stuff back, and it was kind of like, understand these radios right now.
Right.
Don't worry about this other stuff so much right now. Master these because this is what we're using right now.
Yeah.
And then when you go overseas, sometimes new radios come in. You got to learn those, and that's your new stuff. But I don't consider myself a master communicator, which you're supposed to be considered one as an 18.
But when there's not an active mission like there was when you came in, were you an X-ray when you came in? Or
Yeah,
did you,
I was an X-ray.
So X-ray is like, hey, that's even more so wartime. It's like, hey, we're going to get you extra training later. Like for right now, let's just get you working.
Yeah, get on it.
And I'm really broad brushing that, but that's kind of the idea. So you become an Echo. You learn how to do signal.
That's the guy on the team who the rest of the guys go, I don't know how, but he could tell you what color that girl's underwear is. That's why we call him X-ray.
He's the X-ray.
Don't you want to be that guy?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be that
wants
guy.
to be that guy.
Everybody. Could you outshoot your Bravo on all your teams?
One of them, yes.
See,
one
I'm
of them,
telling
yes.
you, that's a thing.
I was a good shooter. I was a pretty good
Yeah.
good shooter. Those guys, I would say, with some of the shooting drills, they were even better. But I was always, I love CQB.
Yeah.
And I love speed drills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a sniper or anything like that, but I did a lot of the closer stuff, a lot of pistol work. I love that stuff. So
Pistol work is fun.
it is fun.
So with that skill set, when you come back and you go to Texas, what's the transition like? You decide you're going to be a student now.
Yeah. At 29.
29.
29-year-old freshman.
Wow.
It was weird. I mean,
Who
because
walked on the football field at the University of Texas.
That's right.
Yeah, and then how is it going to such a in such a red state going to such a liberal place. But and I love Austin because it is an incredible mix of people.
Hey, all the cowboys smoke weed and all the hippies carry guns.
Exactly, right?
That is Austin, Texas. It's the best way to describe it.
And skirts and boots and shorts and boots and all that stuff, too. I love all that.
And the Salt Lick.
The
Salt Lick. That's
and
right.
Huts.
Yeah.
Good barbecue, better music.
I have a friend
Cheap
who's
drinks.
down there. His name is Sean Adams.
Oh, yeah. That's Sean Adams? Radio
yeah,
Sean Adams?
Yeah, Radio
I know
Sean
Sean.
Adams,
Sean's
yeah.
great, man.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
He is a really good dude.
He's a bigger
we went to
guy
high
than me.
school together. He's a bigger guy than you?
He's a big guy.
I need to shut up because he was like a beanpole in high school.
Well, he's
And
tall.
Man, we made fun of that guy a lot. But he's a really good
He'll probably
sport.
whoop your ass now.
Well, you know what? He's going to have to get in line. 'Cause evidently, today is my day. No, I love Sean Adams, man. He's just a salt-of-the-earth dude. And
Salt Lick of the Earth.
Salt
yeah,
Lick.
he's always got something interesting to say. And he's
Yeah.
got a great point of view on a lot of things that and
Definitely.
he's not afraid to attack a topic. And I told him you're going to be on the show, and he said, "Oh man, Nate's great."
Yeah, Sean's a good dude.
Yeah. What did you do with Sean? I mean, he obviously was a University of Texas broadcaster in a number of capacities. He was on ESPN
Well,
radio.
I've been on his radio show several times, and but then we just at games, when you go back to a game now after you're done playing, you see all these guys that when you're a player they had to treat you a little bit, not treat you different, but you can have the same kind of relationship. Like you can't have a beer with one of these guys when you're a player. It's just a whatever you call that.
Right.
The unspoken rules of all that stuff, and obviously there's in college sports there's always the fear of the extra
NCAA
benefits and everything like that.
violation or something 'cause you handed
some
somebody a
guy
beer.
buys you a beer and it's like that's a big NCAA violation. You can't accept gifts. And anyway, but you go back and you get to visit with these guys now around the field, pregame during the warm-ups or something, or just around the stadium at a tailgate or something, and really get to know him. So it's pretty cool. But he's one of those guys that there's a lot of people in his industry that aren't as fun to talk to and visit with off camera because they're always working. You know what I mean? They're always hustling to get the story and they want to hear the insights, and he's not like that. So
The insights. Yeah.
they're always looking for trying to get their angle, get their edge. It's funny, man.
Yeah.
Stuff's interesting, but he's not like that at all.
I've been curious about this and been waiting to ask you this question. So obviously firefights and all that kind of thing, we both have been in them. And I don't know if it's got to be similar for you, like where time is really elastic. Like it might be a thing where I've been in firefights that are long, like 2 hours where there's stuff going on. It's not a constant pitched fight, but you're in it. And I'm like, what was that? Like 8 minutes, 9 minutes? How long was that? And you're like, oh shit, we've been doing this for 3 hours, And there's other times when you're out there and you're like, Jesus Christ, how long is this going to go on for?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's only been half an hour. Like, have you felt that kind of elasticity?
I felt that on the whole deployment too.
Yeah.
I remember being a 9 or 10 month deployment, and I didn't come home. Didn't have like a mid tour leave or anything, so I just was there the whole time. And I remember every day felt like it just drug on. You know what I mean, unless you're in the middle of something like that,
Right.
But at the end of the 9 months, you're like, we're done already?
That was fast.
And you come back and you expect like the world, talking about reintegrating and transitioning back, and you expect the world to just, pick up right where you left it off.
Right.
Because that's the world you remember.
Yeah.
But so much has happened, girls don't like you anymore and everything.
They've moved on.
So many things. The stuff has transpired, and it's just, it's kind of odd. And it's not that people forget about you, but it's like, they're like, oh yeah, you're back. How was it? And you're like, well.
So I could tell you, but it was 12 months worth of,
Yeah. You mean tell the whole thing every day?
Yeah.
Because I got it all.
The elasticity of that time, especially in actual pitched combat, when there's a firefight going on, they always liken football to, the gridiron, the fight and everything.
Yeah.
You one of the few people that
George
has
Carlin.
been shot at and
Did
tackled
both.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you compare and contrast? What is the difference? What are the similarities between being in a high-level football game
I'll
and
say
a
the
gunfight?
similarities, obviously the stakes are not the same.
Sure.
So I'll never compare combat to a football game in that regard. But, the most effective teams, both in camouflage or in pads, are the ones that play or fight for the man on their left and right.
Yeah.
And the nerves are the same going out into a mission and going out on a football field until that first bullet's fired or the first, time you get kind of hit.
Yeah.
The first play
Right.
you're in and you get that that hit, then you're all of a sudden you settle into the fight, or you settle
Yeah.
into the game because you've had that impact, and the nerves kind of shake off. At least with me,
Yeah.
that's my personal thing. But you're going out and you know, especially if it's in a military mission where you know you're going to get into it that day. You're going
Right.
to a valley or a village, or you just know.
Yeah.
You're here getting reports. There's people massing
Right.
there, and it's going to be a fight.
This is where there's always a fight around this corner.
And you're nervous.
Yeah.
Your eyes are big, and you're like,
Huge.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it starts going on, you're kind of like, you finally exhale and then just sort of settle into it, and your training takes over. That's the same to me on the football field,
Yeah.
Going out there, like as a long snapper, I mean, I walked on as a safety.
Yeah.
Quickly found that football's hard to be good at, especially at that level. Especially when you don't even know how to backpedal properly. You're trying to learn that stuff. I remember the first day in the locker room. The first day we had practice in pads on the field. Like we'd already gone through conditioning and the tryouts in that regard, but we hadn't had padded practices yet. Mm-hmm. And I get to my locker and I'm like, I hadn't even put these things on yet, and I'm just like, oh my god, I don't even know what I'm doing. And I sat there and kind of messed around with my jock and my socks and whatever, and took my time and kind of out of the corners of my eyes watching the other guys put their pads on, so I could figure that out.
That's
You
hilarious.
show up with your
funny.
shoulder pads on back.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you have your, like Eric Dickerson wore every pad they had. Like, did you know what pads you wanted to wear?
No, I kind of.
Messed around with it.
messed around with it. I wore too much at first. And then
Right.
the taste, I'm like, I don't need this. Especially once I started long snapping, that all changed. I mean, I didn't long snap till the second year.
Right.
When I wanted to find a way on the field.
Yeah.
So I just started messing with that, and just like shooting a pistol. I took it one little piece at a time and spent hours and days and reps on it.
It's also like a kit. Like you could tell the guy that hasn't been on patrols because you're like, what is all that shit you got?
Yeah.
Like some guy asked me on Quora, he's like, does anybody carry a Gurkha knife? I'm like, why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you? Like, it's heavy.
I had a guy on my team
huge.
that always carried a hatchet because he just really wanted to if
Right.
I had to, I would really want to use my hatchet in combat. He never did, but he's
You never know.
just in case. But it's like an 8-pound thing in his
Yes.
back. I'm like, that's annoying. I wouldn't want that.
Oh my god,
It's funny though.
It's hilarious, and
he had it back there like a Viking, just ready to pull it out.
backloaded. Yeah. That's
Some
funny.
guys have to earn the nickname Hoss or,
Right.
whatever the nickname is by having that thing. And
Slow.
if that's his shtick,
Yeah.
hey, man,
That's
right
his
on.
deal.
Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and then like long snapping, for instance, in a game, you go out there. Obviously, another difference is the audience, the crowd.
Right.
You don't have that in the military, so. But anyway, you go out there and.
But when you do, there's definitely a home crowd.
Well, you have to like when you're on a military mission, you have to block out all these other things that don't have to do with your job and your lane and your focus, right? You have to focus on that little thing.
Yeah.
For long snapping, it was exactly the same. I had to go out there and it's not that you're like trying to block out the crowd. It's like you're kind of being with the crowd, like accepting that it's there, but then maintaining your focus on your little things. Like I approach the ball the same way, I stand over it the same way, I grip it the same way, I look at the same little small Nike check on the holder's glove, and just rip it back there. And if you do all those things 99 times out of 100, you're going to get a great result. Once in a while, something
something
not
crazy
terrible will happen, but maybe it'll be a little off or whatever. But it's the times that all those other outside influences actually influence you,
Right.
and that's when you start trying to aim it too much, or
And you didn't mention your opponent across the line from you.
well,
You
there's
did-
that too. Yeah.
Does that mean when do you start to think about that guy? I mean, let's say it's the best nose tackle around, and he just clobbers centers.
I was always good about.
Nate's putting his hand on the ball and going, I wish a motherfucker would.
That's not at all, actually. That's exactly the opposite. I want them to think that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm just like, oh, don't hit me.
Well, for our audience, especially those who have not been on the football field, let's keep in mind that I'm looking at a Nate who is 50 pounds lighter than he was when he was on the football field. But
Yeah.
even still, you're talking about a guy who's 5'11", and his job is to get the ball back to a holder or a punter who's quite a ways back there. So
the
he's gotta-
holder's 8 yards, the punter's 15.
15.
Yeah.
So at most 15 yards, that's like a pass, but between your
pass.
legs. And
It's
he's
got
got
to go about 40 miles an hour on a tight, on a rope, spiraled, and it's
Right.
got to hit I mean, a perfect snap lands in his right
In the right
pocket.
hip.
You know what
Okay.
I mean? And a good snap is somewhere between his, kind of like a strike zone in baseball.
Okay.
The chest and above the knees within the body frame. That's considered a good snap. You know,
Right.
a great one is in the pocket there. And then a bad snap's anything out of that. So
Yeah.
it's got to be, so I
You have that
focus on
very
that.
precise job to
Yeah.
do, and then you've got likely a 300-pound
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I don't think about
With
that
ill
guy
intentions.
at all until the snap is over.
Right.
I had one game when I first had it. We put in a new blocking scheme the week of, so I was I was too concerned about my drop and like blocking the guy before I finished my job of snapping. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because it was like a new skill, and I had a couple of they weren't terrible, but they weren't great snaps, and it was losing velocity on them because I was trying to block too quick.
Yeah.
And I had to go back after that week, and I watched the film and understood what a lot of people wouldn't even notice it, but I knew it, and you could have a disaster if if you screw up a snap.
Sure.
You're remembered forever. Yeah. If not, like no one knows who you are, and
Right.
you want to be nameless. You know
Like the
what I
guy
mean?
that threw that snap over Peyton Manning's head in the Super Bowl.
Oh, the
you
center.
know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I just blew it. The whole game almost,
Yep.
because you set the mindset the wrong way. It's
Yeah.
when you make a mistake, everybody knows.
Yeah.
A big mistake.
You could do 100 great reps, and
Right.
no one cares.
Yeah, yeah. So you follow through. You make that snap 40 miles an hour on a line, right in the hip pocket.
Yep.
Once that ball leaves, you got to follow through for at least some time to make the throw work right.
It's pretty quick, but yes. I mean, you rip through your elbows, basically shoot through your legs. You know what I mean? And as soon as your arms hit the inside of your thighs, you almost bounce off that and come up to block.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And get in like that athletic position and start to drop or
Right.
push to whatever your
And are you
direction
at a
you're going.
disadvantage at that point?
Oh, yeah.
So you're just trying to I'm just trying
Not
to
to
get a
mention
piece.
that you're in a bad position for anybody, but
Sure.
you're just not as good as an athlete as Von Miller,
Right.
who's like on the other side of you trying to go block the punt. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Or
yeah.
it doesn't have to be Von Miller, but I mean, it's a good
Somebody good.
It's especially at the big time college and NFL level. Like
Yeah.
even if he's a backup, a D end or a linebacker or whatever rushing
Yeah.
a punt. He's athletic. He's more athletic than you are if you're a long snapper. That's a fact.
Yeah, long snapper is a precise position.
Right.
That guy can bench press the engine block from a Plymouth Barracuda.
Yeah.
And he's just big and strong, and he's got an objective that's on the other side of you.
Right.
While you're bent over trying
Yeah.
to do a job and come up
Yeah.
Yes.
into the next job, which is stop his big ass.
Yeah.
So
I remember that this always made it easier for me to remember. Like, I don't have to block him. I don't have to stop him. I have to make him move one step off the direct line to the path of blocking the punt.
Right.
And as long as my snap is perfect, he's never going to get there. So the most important thing, the best way to avoid a punt block is to have a good snap.
yeah,
Nice.
And then
get it to him.
when you get up, if you just get some hands on the meat of his body and get him off his path,
He doesn't have
he's
time.
not going to make it. He's not going to get there. You know what I mean? If the punter drops it, that's his fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nothing you can do about that.
Nothing you about
But
that,
like,
right.
I'm not going to block Von Miller. I mean, no one can. Or
Right.
any.
You're just going to interrupt him.
Yeah,
Especially
I'm going
if-
to interrupt his path. I may end up on my back, but that's a win for me.
Yeah, right,
You know what
right.
I mean? If he has to go through me, he's going to slow him down enough. So.
That damn guy, he just keeps
Like,
on
when
getting in
my,
the way.
my coach used to say, it's okay to get run over. Just get run over with dignity. You know what I mean?
And if you can get run over for
Yeah.
a quarter of a second,
Exactly.
You think
money.
about the hardest jobs around, like your job is to block Von Miller, and I want you to start with your elbows touching your thighs.
And your head between your legs.
Head between your legs.
And he's 1 foot from you.
Ready, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're straight legged. And your feet are wide. Like it's the worst
worst.
position.
Worst
Like, you
There's
can't
not-
be in a worse
other
position.
than standing on 1 foot.
Yeah,
there's
I would rather stand on 1 foot. If I could be like in an athletic crouch and see what it's coming at me.
Yeah.
I'd stand on no feet.
Yeah.
I want to see, you know what I mean? Like it's
your head
pretty
between your
funny.
legs.
It's pretty funny. But yeah, that all those things. So yeah, the
Well, but I
focus-
want to punctuate that when you were trying out for the NFL, you had done your whole college career and said, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to see if I can get on a squad. At that time, you were 33 years old. 34 years old.
Here's another one.
Attempting for I don't give a shit anymore.
You were 88. You
care
were
about getting them
88
right.
years old.
I don't care about getting it right.
You wore number
know what?
15
I'm gonna,
in college.
I'm going to fart in front of everybody. I'm going to bark at people who are crossing the lawn outside.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fuck up everything about this story. You were 34 years old, attempting to start an NFL career, and you actually got through the preseason.
Yeah. Well, to it anyway. But yes. Uh-oh. Do you want us to close the door, maybe?
Yeah, can we? Okay,
Thanks. We're interrupting somebody's movie.
Yeah,
Oh, well. Anyhow, so
Fuck them.
right.
It's fine.
Yeah,
it is fine.
it's all right. That'll be okay, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, they got an air horn going off.
Yeah, right.
We'll go over there. Excuse me. We are in the middle of a podcast.
Yeah, we're recording.
Break an
Yeah.
air horn up.
I'm asking deep questions. I'm
Your
fucking
air
them all
horn
up, but I'm
is
asking deep
carrying
questions.
through the glass.
Yes.
So, given that you entered the NFL with much more life experience than most of the guys, I mean, these guys are tuned up for one specific thing, and they didn't have, most of them, any variety of experience like you've had. What are some of the things that you appreciated about that you looked at the young guys and thought, you know, a couple years from now you're going to realize that you had a chance to see this, but you didn't see it while you were here?
Well, I mean, one of the things that's tough for a lot of those guys and anybody at that age doing anything is you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and playing with desperation or trying to, you know, make your mark or make the team even with some of those guys does not serve you well in anything in life. When you're desperate, it just doesn't. It's not sexy, man. People don't like it. It's not attractive. You know what I mean? And it adds tension and nerves in your own self. So a lot of these guys I saw that were out there, even ones that were drafted that were probably going to make the team, it was so much about proving themselves day one. You know what I mean? And they don't enjoy the journey or the struggle. You know, they just want to get to that. They just want to achieve right now. I just want to be better today. You know what I mean? And you have to understand about like process and time and like what you have to sacrifice and all that.
Sure.
But, you know, if you have that mindset of like, I'm going to get a tiny, tiny, tiny bit better today, but I'm going to do everything the right way. I'm going to shut my mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to I'm not going to ask a million questions to the vets around me, not military vets, but the players that have been there a while. I'm just going to listen and watch them from a distance. And then when it's my turn, I'm going to try to do everything as hard as I can, as fast as I can, with as much effort as possible, and as correctly as I can. But don't focus on the result so much. You know, everyone gets so focused on that result and like achieving right away. And it's tough. It's a challenge because you want to impress everybody. You want to impress the coaches and the players and all that. But those guys, a lot of those guys ended up. I had 10 guys got cut before I did, you know, and I was a second. Usually I don't have two long snappers on a roster at all, and I was trying to beat this guy out who'd been there 6 years, and he was 6'3", about 250.
Right.
You know, and he was 7 years younger than I am, and or whatever, 5 years
And more
younger than I am.
training and
yeah.
all of that
He's
stuff.
been snapping since he was 8 years old. And he was a great guy, you know. That was another thing, like understanding I'm competing with this guy, but I don't have to hate him.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just going to do my best and be a good friend and teammate, and whatever happens. My experience is going to be more enjoyable. Even though I got cut, I had such an amazing time because I knew this might be all I get. You know, I knew that, and it's not like I'm giving up, but I'm going to work just as hard and go for it just as much. But if this is all I get, I better enjoy this shit because it could be over any second. You know what I mean? Just like life. I mean, tomorrow you could die. Today you could die. You don't know, and you have to go at it that way. And I remember like the one game I got to play in CenturyLink, the home, you know, Seattle's home field there, and I'm like warming up before the game. It's a preseason game, and the stadium's packed with people, and I'm like soaking all this in. You know what I mean? I know those other guys are out there in the warm-ups, not appreciating that. You know what I mean? Not understand like this is, and I'm like warming up, snapping at midfield, and I look up, and Peyton Manning is chucking footballs 10 feet from me, and I'm just like, This is
happening.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Can I get my phone? Like, I want to like,
Coach,
you know what I mean? I want to enjoy
I promise
this.
I'm going to put it back.
Yeah.
And I went out and I played the whole second half and had a great game. All my snaps were great because I had a smile on my face the whole time. I was relaxed. I was not that I wasn't trying. I was going as hard as I could, but I was enjoying it. I mean, it's a game. It's football. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be fun.
Well,
like, it's
there's the other thing.
competitive, but it's freaking fun.
There's the other thing is that a lot of these kids are going out there with no idea that they are human beings with another contribution to make because they're at a point in their lives where their programming is you got to get on the team.
Right.
And they've gotten on the team this far, and they've got that one last, if I do this, I'm going to buy my mama a house.
Yeah.
And, you're at a point in your life where you get to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to enjoy it. I might make it. And if I don't, I will have played right next to Peyton Manning, and I will have done a bunch of these
Oh, and
things. But I'm going to go do a bunch of other shit after I'm done,
Totally.
too.
No, and everything is a step towards something else. You know what I mean? Every achievement or failure or whatever, if you look at it that way,
Sure.
I mean, no matter how up, how high, or how low it is, you can use it to your advantage. You know what I mean? All those shortcomings. I like this saying of, that everybody has shit in their life, and it's up to you. It's a choice you make whether to let the stench overwhelm you or to use it as fertilizer and grow something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can, and like that's being at that level with I hope a lot of those guys that didn't make it with me, because that game I just talked about, I got cut like 3 days later, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was over.
That was it. Yeah.
And I enjoyed every second of it, but it ended. And right from there, though, I'm jumping on the next thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not going to let the momentum.
Moving on, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to let it propel me forward. And every one of those guys has that opportunity too. I would have liked to impart that wisdom on guys more, and I still do now. But just enjoy all of it, man. Enjoy that every pass you drop.
Right.
Don't beat yourself up. I mean, don't ignore it, but like
use it.
Yeah, use it. Like that's a valuable
That's
drop.
what Hilliard
there.
says. Use it.
Yeah, that's a valuable drop right there, man. Like that. What did you do? What did you do?
Right.
To make that happen. It wasn't your glove. Don't look at your gloves. It wasn't your gloves. Wasn't what I mean? You did something. So
if you touch it, you can catch it. So what was it?
Anyway,
the other thing too that strikes me about what you've done is nothing in football is as hard as the hardest thing in the military.
Coach Mac Brown used to say that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He said to the guys, because I had a conversation with him one day, and he was like, tell us about an average day over there. And I told him, your best day over there is usually better than the worst day here. Usually. Not always, obviously. But, like, that's just the way it is. And he loved that. And he'd always tell the guys that in training camp, the kids, I should say, a lot of the younger guys. And that's just a good piece of perspective there. But it's very true. You know what I mean? You get through the day, nobody died.
Right.
And you got to, you got to eat chow. You got to eat hot chow.
Yeah.
And like all these little,
little
here, little things you just like that we take for granted here.
Yeah.
Those little victories over there, man. You're just like, yes, today was such a win. And then you like think about, if this would have been like my day at home, I'd just be like, today was horrible. It sucked.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to tell people, they don't understand, but like when you get provisioned on the side of a mountain somewhere, they do an airdrop of supplies, right? And so everybody's watching the airdrop, partly because everybody needs to watch the airdrop, but partly because you want to see what's going to burn in. And then once something, and invariably of the 20 pallets, one of them or two of them are going to burn in, and you're like, whoa, that was awesome. Oh, shit, I hope that wasn't the pig in a blanket, because we haven't had those in weeks. You're like, oh, no, what was it?
It was all the rippets. Yeah. And they all exploded.
No,
I need my rippets.
It better damn well not be the fuel, because we can't live without that.
Yeah, exactly.
But, that's a comment that every time you get provisioned, one of those pallets is going to burn in, and you're going to lose some part of what you need to survive out there on the edge of reality. And there's nothing in football that is as hard as that, you know, especially for the guy that has to go on the side of the hill and burn all that crap in place. And, like they're hiking up half a mile away uphill, John, up in a mountain, and you're just like, this sucks. It's just the worst. Or you could be in football practice, cracking heads with people. It's definitely a different world. And you're right about the whole thing. Like, well, looking around like, this really sucked, whatever this thing was,
Yeah.
But let's see. Everybody's got fingers and toes. Everybody's alive. Yeah. Oh, it's actually
okay. Not a bad day.
This isn't that bad.
Exactly.
We've all had worse.
It would be remiss of us, especially me, being growing up as a 49er fan, if we didn't ask you, even though you've been asked a million times, I'm sure. You grew up a 49er fan.
Yep. Do you want to guess where he's from? Do you remember?
No. I don't want to guess.
No, then you may as well guess, because you might get it right.
I may as well guess.
Close to us.
It's close to us. Oh, you're from El Cerrito.
Oh my God,
you got that one right.
Are you from El Cerrito?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was actually born in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, but when we were 2, I moved to El Cerrito.
Okay.
And lived there for about 9 years. And then we moved to Colorado for a few years, and then back to the Bay, where I went to high school and stuff. So
okay.
That's
Where'd you go to
really
high
funny.
school?
I went to high school actually over in Dublin.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a long commute.
Yeah.
Well, when we moved back from Colorado, we moved further east.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we moved back there when I was in high school.
So you were a Niners fan growing up?
Yeah. When I was growing up in El Cerrito, the Raiders were in L.A., first of all.
Yeah.
And Second of all, the Niners were really good.
Right. So that was easy.
Really good.
They made it easy on you.
Montana, Rice, Roger Craig, Ronnie Lott,
All that.
Randy Cross.
Yeah, Randy Cross.
Randy
That's a
Cross,
nice one. Yeah.
They had,
good
they
mustache.
had everybody, man.
Yeah.
We had a good squad. John Taylor in that Super Bowl catch.
Yep.
Against the
Yeah.
Bengals, man.
John Taylor.
Keenan.
What was that? The
Pookie.
drive? Is that called the drive? Yeah, Keenan.
That was the
That's right.
drive, yeah. So, okay, so you
Anyway.
do the Seattle thing preseason, you get cut. Is that when you decide that's it for the NFL experience, or did you try a little more?
Yeah, no, I stayed in shape through the season in case some
Someone
injuries
breaks an ankle or
occurred.
something,
Yeah, and I
right,
got
yeah.
another opportunity. I stayed in shape, kept the weight on through the
Right.
season, a little bit through the off season. Had a couple workouts with some other teams. Actually, was close to getting signed with the Rams out here when they
Yeah.
moved out to LA, but it didn't happen.
Okay.
And then as they went into that next preseason OTAs and training camp, I just decided I was 35 then. you
Right,
know.
yeah.
I don't need to keep all this weight on, so I dropped 30 pounds. I went from 228 to I was probably hovered around 216, 220, something like that. I hovered around that in the off season, and then if I needed to put more on, if I got a call, I would do it. But then I dropped 30 pounds in like a month and a half.
Wow.
Because this is like my normal size. You know,
Yeah.
when I was in the
That
military,
sounds like dysentery.
no,
No, that sounds like discipline.
it's called cardio. You should try it. I'm kidding.
No, wow. No, he should. And so should I.
Okay.
I got to try it. Donuts right here.
Yeah,
He says while I'm
joking,
sitting
I'm
in front of a
joking.
plate of cheese.
I'm eating it. You're not even eating it.
Well, I'm
Watch
not
me
doing
eat
the
it.
cardio either.
That's true. That's true. That's
So,
clearly.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. No, but yeah, I just like when I was in the Army, when I was on active duty, I was like 160 pounds. Like that's how I'm not a big guy. I'm a distance runner, like a endurance guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was never. What'd you say earlier?
a
bench
sprinter.
bench pressing.
You weren't bench
Pontiacs
pressing
or
it.
whatever you said. That's
So what did you do 2 miles in?
My fastest was 11 minutes, 11 flat.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
2
That's
miles in
fast.
11 minutes.
That's
There's
lacking
guys that do it
people.
faster.
Oh
than
no,
that.
there is. Yeah,
Well,
there's guys
sure.
that motor but they do different things.
We had a dude that ran. He ran track at Notre Dame, and
Right.
I think he ran the mile or something. As
Yeah.
his that's what he competed in or whatever.
His event.
Yeah, his event. Thank you. Yeah, so he'd run the 2 mile in like 9.5. It made me look stupid. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like in second place at 11.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We had a guy in our brigade that ran eights. Just moving.
2 miles.
2 miles. He was scooting.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Remember when a 5-minute mile was like unthinkable?
Yeah.
And here he is like, I'm just going to run 2 miles in 8.
Yeah, well, not 8 flat, but he was in the 8.
Yeah,
like
still,
8
within
and
the
change.
eight.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it was all I could do to try to not get lapped twice by that guy, and it never worked because that guy's he would just run. And
They look like they're floating. People
Yeah,
that run like
he
that.
would- and
they
he-
don't even touch the ground. They're just like
right. He
little
would
gazelles.
slightly lean forward. His toes would touch the ground, and
Yeah.
just right by.
It's like a little like a road runner.
Exactly like a
looks
road
like.
runner. We had another guy that had world class, like really world class speed. And you know, the military is like it's a brigade. There's a lot of different people. There's a guy with the PhD. There's a guy with the wooden leg. There's a guy, you know. And so we had another guy that was world class sprinting speed. And I played on like a flag football team. And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm world class. I'm in the Army. No, that guy was fucking fast because I had angle. He took a kickoff and I had the angle on him and I was running towards him. And I was pretty fast at the time. I didn't come anywhere near him. He was gone. He wore tights when he ran, and he looked like he was supposed to wear tights, just super fast.
You have to be fast. If you're going to wear tights, you better
Yeah,
be fast.
That's
He
true
was.
too. That's like the guy who's got the running pants with the flames on them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, man, you better turn it on. I mean, I personally think I can run 2 miles in about 8 minutes and 2,200 seconds. So, I mean, I'm just setting a realistic goal. But
So this is I want to transition to what you're doing now because we've painted a lot of, and it's been fascinating talking about the time in group and then the time in like, I'm going to take up football. Why the fuck not? And then doing it, and then now it's like, yeah, I'm going to go to Hollywood and become an actor. I'm going to do all
well,
these
before we
things.
get to that, though, I want to ask
I don't
you:
even know if that's
do you
what I'm
think Colin
becoming.
Kaepernick should be unemployed right now?
Do I think he should be unemployed?
What is your assessment of
Well-
him as a quarterback, as an athlete, as a teammate?
I think he's a good teammate. I do think he's a good teammate. And I think if you ask people in the locker room with the Niners, for the most part, I think guys would agree. I don't think he was before all this, actually.
Okay.
I met some guys he played with on the team that and thought he was a prick. He wasn't a good leader, and he was selfish and all that. And then since all this stuff, he has become a better teammate, a better leader. He was voted by the team,
Right.
As like their leadership award.
He
this year or
won
something
their
like that.
yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like an inspirational player to them.
I don't remember what player it was named after, but
I
it is
can't
their
either.
team
I
leadership
can't either.
award.
Yeah, but and that's voted on by the players. You know what I mean? So clearly, he has improved in that way exponentially.
Yeah.
I think more than the anthem stuff. I think a lot of the reason right now is he has struggled on the field since he got hurt and lost some weight. In these last couple of years, he hasn't been what he was when he went to the Super Bowl and almost won it. You know, and they had first and goal and they threw the ball 4 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, remember that?
Wow.
With Brent Gore in the backfield. But the Seahawks did the same damn thing.
Yeah,
And the
that's true.
Falcons did the same damn thing.
Sure.
And anyway, the NFC needs to learn some lessons here. But I will say that he was getting paid a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And unless he's willing to take an extremely substantial pay cut, you know, and maybe instead of playing for $14 million, if he's going to probably be a backup, at least start
Right.
as a backup, maybe it's more like $2 million is going to be your contract. And I just think that's more the story. That's more what's going on right now. That hasn't really
Yeah.
been talked about. I think he will be with the team.
Yeah.
I think.
I think that's less of a story than people who need
Totally.
a story.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why that's not even on the table as one of the reasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all about he either sucks now or nobody wants to deal with the drama that comes with anthem stuff. Because he even said that he's going to stand this year. He already said that.
Yeah.
He's done kneeling, and whether that's for the right reasons or not doesn't really matter. The fact that he's not doing that now, the team should not see that as a distraction anymore. Then the fans aren't going to boo during the anthem if somebody's taking a knee if he's not doing it.
Right.
And I think it's more about the money. I think everything's about money, man.
But I mean, hey, listen, the NFL, the way they treat the players, he should get all the money he can get right now because they'll cut him in a second with the contract. You know, like, hey, it's great. I'm glad you got a contract. Go home.
Right.
You know, you're done here.
Right.
So he may as well. And you know what? When
Mr. Owens. Kaepernick.
Yeah, when that 15th quarterback goes down for the year, because it'll be a large.
I think
number.
it'll happen in. I think it'll happen in training camp.
Sure.
I think he'll
Someone
end
will
up
say,
somewhere
yeah.
because either someone's going to get hurt or
Right.
someone's going to get cut or something. And at that point, later in the game, I think it's probably more his agent and his
Yeah.
people will be like, look, if we really want to play this year,
Somebody's gonna have to talk
We're
with
gonna have
him.
to take a huge pay cut and
Right.
like just do it. And you know what? If you go out there and you get an opportunity and you perform,
Right.
You sign a 1-year deal for whatever, and you go out there and perform. Maybe next year it's different. Maybe you get
Yeah.
a starting job back somewhere else. He's still young.
Yeah. Maybe
So-
somebody says, do you remember when you got the opportunity and you performed? What happened to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back to that.
You can go back up Alex Smith.
And remember, yeah, right.
Right.
So, I mean,
worked
I
out.
honestly was an Alex Smith fan, and I wanted to see him do well. And I don't think he got enough time and the right circumstance with the Niners. And so I'm happy to
we
see
should have
that he
drafted
did
Aaron
well.
Rodgers, obviously.
There's that. You know, hindsight being 2020.
I mean, I was a Cal
I
fan
liked
growing
him.
up too because
I
I'm in
liked-
El
oh, man,
Cerrito.
right,
My
exactly.
mom got her PhD from Berkeley, so
Yeah.
when I was a little kid, she was going to school right there, so
Right.
I became a Cal fan
How could you not?
when I was a baby.
You are like a warrior hippie, aren't you?
I like the Warriors too.
We really should have.
Dub
If there was
City,
a
baby.
team called the Hippies, you'd probably like them. No, maybe not. If there was a circumstance for you to become a Cal fan, though, you were right in it, and Aaron Rodgers was a great Bear.
Boy, yeah.
Amazing.
So, yeah, we absolutely should have drafted him that year, but
We didn't.
bygones be bygones.
Super Bowl rings be on his hand, not on the.
Yeah, and for our listeners who are unaware, you know, when Colin Kaepernick started his statement, he started it sitting down, and then tell us what happened before I make up shit.
Yeah,
That's
no.
not true.
So, yeah, the Army Times reached out to me during this whole, you know, when it kind of blew up in the media that he was sitting for the anthem, and they asked me to write an opinion piece about this whole situation, and I didn't really want to throw gasoline on a fire. I didn't see the point in that. Everyone had an opinion.
Sure.
It wasn't really getting us anywhere. And so I wrote them back, and I said, no, I appreciate that, but I'm not going to jump on one bandwagon or the other. I'm not going to point fingers at him, tell him why he's wrong and I'm right, because I don't know where
Right.
he's necessarily coming from and what it's like to be him. I can't tell him, you know, what's there's no certainty in this of like who's right and who's wrong. It's
Sure.
an issue for various reasons. You know what I mean? Both
Yeah.
sides have of this issue have valid points, and I certainly don't know what it's like to walk around in his shoes. So I said if I'll do it at all, I'm going to just write like an open letter, and I'll just talk as if I'm sitting in the room with him, talk about my experience, my relationship to the anthem, and how it makes me feel to see that. And that's it. I'm not going to say you should be doing this because America, or whatever. And because patriotism is very different for different people, and everyone has a different relationship to that flag and anthem. So I wrote this open letter. The next day it came out. It went like crazy viral. I think
I would like for our listeners to go look up. It's worth Googling Nate Boyer's open letter to Colin Kaepernick.
There you go.
And you should read it. It's great.
It's great. Maybe you'll learn a little something about me that folks on this show can't tell you.
That's yeah, right. Like the
no,
fact
I appreciate that.
That he was born in Beirut. He grew.
His dad was a pineapple farmer.
Mom was an opera singer.
Beirut,
and they traveled.
Beirut, Indiana. It's
Beirut.
Beirut Street.
But anyway, yeah. And
so you wrote the open letter.
So this thing blew up. It went all over the place. I had, the CNN and NFL Network and Fox News and NBC Nightline. Like the next day, they're all hitting me up, and I don't have a.
Also,
I don't have like
a
manager.
Boy
right.
booked for the Break It Down show right around
That's
that
right.
time.
That's right.
That's true.
And then he big timed us.
No,
he said, "No, I'm just kidding."
Not big timeless. I will say,
Hey, he called my fat ass out for not doing cardio.
Nate never
give something back.
You never big timed us. You were awesome about the whole thing. And the thing is we love
and you're here.
Yeah.
So what can I say?
We love
Here,
to have
all those
people
opportunities
when
went
they're
away. I just went right down. I'm just kidding.
No, we love having you on. And actually, I like
this guy.
You keep stepping in it.
I know.
So let's talk about the next phase of your career here, so that the
I'll finish that. I'll finish
Okay.
that thing real quick. So yes, so that's how we got connected. He read the letter and he saw some of the stuff on TV, and he actually reached out to me. He was in San Diego. The Niners were playing the Chargers in the last preseason game the next day, and he called me and said that he'd love to sit down with me and chat, and then he's like, I got to go into a meeting right now, and we got practice and stuff, but I'm going to link you up with my publicist. And so I talked to the publicist, and I just said, look, if this is like a media stunt, I'm not interested. If it's like there's going to be cameras down there with it, I'm not going to be like a puppy dog or a lap dog or whatever you call that.
Not a dog and pony
Patsy.
show.
Yeah. And they said, no, he just wants to talk to you and pick your brain about some things. I was like, okay, cool. I thought you said those donuts were done.
I lied.
Clearly you lied.
That's staying in.
Leave it. So he sent an Uber from L.A. to San Diego.
San Diego.
I Ubered down there.
Yeah. I love this story, by the way.
It was an Uber. It was an Uber X, which is kind of bullshit. But, I'm just
Was it
kidding.
Uber X? Do you have to drive a Lincoln or something to be an Uber X?
No. Uber X is like the baseline.
Oh, that's a.
That's why I said it's bullshit.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You by yourself.
Yeah.
Toyota Tercel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I get good mileage.
My knees and
Prius.
my knees next to my ears. It was awesome.
But great mileage.
But great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt every bump. No, but it was fine. I'm just kidding. So I went down there. I met them in the team hotel down in Horton Plaza, and he got out of team meetings, came down the lobby. We sat there in the lobby for like 2 hours and just talked about this whole thing and where he was getting at. And I showed him text messages from friends of mine in the military. I had a good friend of mine that was a double-A amputee that tweeted. He was a Marine EOD tech, and he tweeted, Colin, even though you won't stand for the anthem, I'll stand with enough pride for both of us, even though I don't have legs.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was kind of like mic drop.
Yeah.
It got like 100,000 retweets or something crazy, And,
Right.
And I just was like, look, this guy doesn't hate you, but you got to understand what it looks like when you're sitting. To me and to a lot of us, it looks like you're sitting isolated from your team. It doesn't look so much that you're standing for something. It looks like you don't care, or you don't appreciate anything about our country at all. And
Especially the guys who've made sacrifices.
yeah, the guys who made sacrifices. And I said, I know you don't mean that, because through our conversation we talked about he's got family in the military. It was one of his best friends was stationed there in Coronado. And he had a couple uncles that were police officers, even like all this stuff. It's very interesting to have this conversation. And he's like, that's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm like, he said, I want to see things change. I think we could do a lot better. And I said, I absolutely agree. But if if you want people to listen to you, I think you have to show them you're willing to listen too, and that you're willing to give a little bit. And he asked me, what other ways could I demonstrate that wouldn't offend people like that? And I said, I wanted him to stand. I said, look, there's stuff you can do off the field and stuff you can say off the field.
Right.
But during the anthem, it would mean a lot to me and a lot of people if you would stand. And he's like, I already said I'm not going to do that for the rest of the season until, whatever. And he committed to something. I said, okay. So we had to sort of went into negotiations somewhat, you know what I mean? And we came to the middle ground of him kneeling alongside his teammates, which I thought was very important. Too.
Right.
I said, you got to be around your team.
Yeah.
Because it makes it look like it's about you right now.
Right.
And I know that's not what your intention is. So he agreed to kneel, and I agreed to stand next to him that day at the game while he kneeled during the anthem, and I stood next to him with my hand on my heart, and there were people booing, and there was an African-American gentleman in the Navy and was singing the anthem.
Right.
It was very bizarre. It was an interesting situation, one of the most interesting moments of my life. But afterwards, to see, he stood up. He was starting that game. This is his last game of the season. He's a backup, so the starter was sitting out. And he got up, and a bunch of his teammates came over and embraced him, and it was cool. It was a cool moment, what I mean, to see that. And it sort of changed the tone with a lot of people. I think a lot of people saw that as, all right, that's actually pretty cool. I see that he's at least willing to listen, and he's open to that. And I think that moved a lot of people towards the direction of at least giving him a chance and hearing what he had to say instead of just writing him off because they don't believe the same thing he believes.
John, I know I'm not on. Can you just bring up the lyrics to the song? Because I know that was something he talked about before, like the lyrics.
Oh, in the anthem. Yeah, the other verses. There's other, and that's something I wrote in my letter. I talk about the other verses in the anthem that I'm not necessarily proud of. There's a lot of things in our history that I'm not proud of, but something I punched on the letter that I think is important is that we don't sing those lyrics anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's important to recognize that too. And we screw up every day as a nation. We could do so much better. But I think for the most part, we try. We're a lot of places, other places in the world, they don't. You know what I mean? We really do try. Most of us try to get better. And most police officers are good men and women that try to do it the right way every day. And unfortunately, a few of those bad apples ruin it for the group. But that's a microcosm of the world. That's every group. People in the military. There's Green Berets that are shitbags. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're out there. And most people in some of these really rough neighborhoods and tough communities are amazing people, and all they want to do is see their communities thrive. And they don't like the gang violence. They don't want that stuff to happen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? They want to be better too. So it's a matter of us as a nation just listening to one another, giving each other a chance to speak and to understand that you don't know what it's like to be that person, and they don't know what it's like to be you. You know what I mean? But for you to have all these absolutes, that's the word I was looking for earlier, these absolutes about where we are as a nation and why things are jacked up. It's a mixture of things, and a lot of it is because we're not willing to work with one another, and we're not willing to listen to each other. And I thought Colin, at least at that time, was willing to listen. You know what I mean, in that moment, and that's what's important. Since then, there's various opinions about whether what he's done is right and wrong, and I wish he would have voted. I wish a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I screw up all the time, so there's plenty of things I'm sure that. People
join the
wish
screw up club.
Yeah,
we're all
the
in
screw
it.
up club. So, anyway, it's an interesting topic, and more than anything, I think what's important about the whole thing is that it's a discussion that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And if this is the way that it's happening, then great. That's he didn't hurt anybody, wasn't hurting anybody.
No.
Hurting feelings maybe, but
Yeah.
hey, just suck it up.
Yeah. And you're kind of bound by your motto too. Like if he feels oppressed, you have to pick up your ears and go, "Wait a second, what?"
Yeah.
I liberate the oppressed. What's
Yeah.
going on here? You at
Absolutely.
least owe them your ears. And
That's the Special Forces motto.
Right.
De oppresso liber, and that's something I like to remind people of that too. And there's various forms of oppression. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It means different things. I know that word immediately. People go
Sure.
to what's going on in the Darfur, maybe in
Sure.
in Sudan. You know what I mean? And places like that, or Syria right now. You know what I
Boy,
mean? Obviously,
yeah.
that's a different level of oppression, but there still is levels of it here, and there's no reason why we can't improve relations between one another, even though you believe different things, you have a different upbringing and background and experience.
Right.
That doesn't mean that all your stuff's just the only way it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We have it you and I especially know we have it very great here. Almost anybody can do almost anything here, and that is simply not the case in most of the rest of the world. It doesn't mean that that Colin Kaepernick isn't part of my team.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
my teammate is hurting, then I've got to slow down and pay attention to what's going on
Totally.
here as well as abroad. So it is a good conversation to have. I love that we have it.
I have a hard time saying any more words after that. I think that's a powerful ending. But we do have an obligation to look forward to what you're doing next. What are you doing next? Are you plugging anything? Or are
figuring
you
it
here
out.
to say, hey,
no, we'll
here's
talk
what I'm
about
doing?
Well, a couple of nonprofit organizations that I work with. One of them is called Water Boys. It was started by Chris Long, who used to play for the Rams when they were in St. Louis, and then he was with the Patriots last year. He's at the Eagles now, but he's Howie Long's son, and he's a defensive end at Virginia. He was a first-round draft pick, and he started this Water Boys initiative to bring clean water wells to people in East Africa. And he went to Tanzania several years ago with some other current players, and the NFL players, and they went out there and they were going to all climb Kilimanjaro together, including Ray Lewis and some other guys, and some of those guys bowed out the last minute.
It's a big hill.
Chris still climbed.
Oh, good.
But also when he left there, he's like, man, I want to do something more for these people. It's just an amazing place. It's so beautiful, the country. And, they don't have access to clean water. The Maasai, that tribe, those people are absolutely unbelievable. So he started raising money within the locker rooms and fan bases around the league for these water wells. And he reached out to me after I got released from Seattle, asked me if I wanted to be involved in some way. And, he's like, I used to donate to the Wounded Warrior Project, and I'm interested in maybe doing some other things after some of the press that came out with those guys, and maybe we could start an initiative within our organization that did something with vets, And I said, let's take them up to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Some wounded vets to go climb Kilimanjaro, but we'll raise money for water wells in the process.
Yeah.
Through this mission, so that not only are they getting something out of that as far as the climb, but like they have that purpose too.
Sure.
Feeling like they're fighting for those people again. Fighting for those that can't fight for themselves is what we do in the military a lot. So it was a cool. Last year we raised $100,000. This year we raised $150,000.
Holy cow!
And we just got back last month. We went with 3 wounded vets, 2 single leg amputees, and 1 blind Green Beret. Ivan Castro.
Oh, we know Ivan.
Yeah.
He's been on the show.
Ivan summited with us. And
life is too easy for Ivan. He's
Life-
like, I'll climb top of that mountain. He challenged John to an
60
axe throwing
marathons.
contest. He's like,
Axe throwing. He also flat out told me he could outshoot me.
I'm going to outshoot you. And the guy has no
true.
eyes.
Probably true.
Yeah.
We'll definitely out-reference you on guests or something.
Probably.
Oh, man.
Probably.
That guy's smart. For sure.
But and then the other one is MVP. It stands for Merging Vets and Players.
Okay.
So we're bringing former athletes and veterans together through that transition to help,
Sure.
find that purpose again and kind of give them another team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we work out together down the street here at Jay Glazer's Unbreakable Performance Center, the gym there, and then we powwow and network and help each other out, and it's just one of those kind of groups. But it's fun, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. I
And,
love hearing that.
That's cool. And I'm acting a little bit, and that's it.
A little bit. Yeah.
All right. But you don't want to talk about that stuff?
We can. I just got back from Atlanta, shooting my first big movie with it's called Den of Thieves. It'll come out in January, and it's starring Gerard Butler, 50 Cent, O'Shea Jackson, and several other actors that I can't think of their names that are a lot more famous than I am.
So what happens when you guys are all
It was
there
cool though. Those are kind of the big. Pablo Schreiber, he's in it. He's
on
awesome.
location? You got Gerard Butler, you got 50 Cent, you got these guys, and then there's the Green Beret guy, and you guys all go to the gym on site. There must be some competition.
No. They go to their own little gyms.
Really?
I don't think O'Shea Jackson works out.
Yeah.
No, he enjoys puffing a little
Uh-huh.
of the puffy puffs and eating. No, he probably works out. Gerard Butler's like a workout freak.
Yeah.
50 Cent's obviously a big,
Yeah.
and he owns Vitamin Water.
Right.
So
yeah.
there's
helps.
always vitamin water on set. But he was funny, man. He's very quiet and kind of reserved. But there's a scene where I don't know if this will make the final cut, so I'll spoil it here. Hopefully it does. But there's a scene where I'm like a Secret Service guard in the vault of the Federal Reserve. The storyline is these thugs are trying to take down the Federal Reserve in downtown LA and steal $120 million $30 million because every day $120 million gets shredded, which is true. It's old money going out of circulation.
Right.
And they get to it after it's been wiped to the serial numbers, but before it gets shredded, so it's untraceable.
Sweet.
And they try to steal the.
I love this plot.
They go into the 100 count room and steal that money.
Yeah.
Which is $30 million. And then there's a group of like rogue cops that are kind of going after them. And then there's but I'm like one of the Secret Service agents in the vault there. So it's a pretty sterile, straightforward character. I don't get to do any real goofy, fun stuff, but it's important to the plot. But there's a scene where I walk by him, and he's sitting there. He's dressed in like a security guard's outfit, like he's a Brinks driver or something. And he kind of like looks out of the corner of his eye at me, and I'm walking by, and then I go off and say something to some other people. And the director was like, "Let's try it again." He's like, "When you walk by him, just like whistle something or hum something. Just looks like you're, I don't know. Just do something. Just improv something." So when I walked by him, I started whistling PIMP. So I hope it makes it, man. Because
me too.
The camera was like backing up in front of me, and I could notice the crew behind the camera like trying not
they
to.
reacted.
They were like, "Oh shit! I can't believe he just did." Oh yeah. He was like, "Man, come on."
That's a nice inside joke for a film, man. That's really good.
I hope it makes it. We'll
I hope
see.
it does too.
We got Hilliard here, by the way. We're in Hilliard's office recording the show, and he's jumping in from the back row, talking every now and then. So we always love having Hilliard host us.
Well,
This is a nice room here, man.
we're also going to let
cool.
Hilliard work because he's got tons of work to do, and we're in his environment, taking up his space. But thank you, man. I appreciate, first of all,
Thank you, guys.
your service to our country, your example to, the young men that you were around in school and locker rooms, and now your ability to entertain us. Thank you for all of that shit. Thank you for coming on the show. You lived up to the reputation that Sean Adams set for you. He said you were a good guy, and
Jay too. Jay
too,
said nothing but great things about you.
Jay's awesome,
Yeah.
man. He's a funny cat.
Yeah,
Wow.
he is. I love Jay.
yeah, he's kind of an unstoppable force.
He's a big vet supporter, though.
He
too.
is.
He
There's
loves
no
us.
doubt.
He loves us. So yeah, he's awesome, man.
So thank you for coming on the show, everybody. Nate Boyer, check him out at what's your social media stuff?
At Nate Boyer 37 is Twitter and Instagram.
Nice.
And, I have a website.
Nice.
Okay.
What is that?
It's NateBoyer.com.
NateBoyer.com. That
There
makes
it
sense.
is.
Yeah, man, and thanks for putting up with the fact that I can't seem to get a fucking fact straight. This whole
And the thing is he
Wow.
absolutely knows all this stuff. It's
Yeah.
just his brain is something wrong with him
I
right
just
now.
got fried today, but I swear I did
I'm only
all of this
slightly
research,
offended.
and I was spot on like 4 months ago. So
that was good.
anyway,
That's good.
no, in all seriousness, thanks, man.
Yeah, we
Of course.
appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.